Hello, and welcome to Starsmadas. Today we are going to be looking at a prize ship. I believe it was a prize ship. It is a very special one because of one very special card. So, let us take a look. This is the IKS Korinar. Just get this set up here. First time doing this kind of setup for the video, as I'm actually doing the VTuber at the same time as the live recording. So, let's start with the model. Get the model out without breaking it. There we go. So this is the this is recognizable of being an older version of the Burrell model because it's solid green with orange here. However, there's still metallic trimmings to it. The base is metallic. Sorry, I leaned out of frame. Hello? Okay, let's try that without leaning out of frame and hiding behind my camera. Okay, so it's your run-of-the-mill Burrell. I prefer the newer, sort of shinier ones, and of course, the best is the raised wings on the bird of prey. It looks like its peg is in correctly. I don't think my camera can focus like that. Okay, let's get down to the cards. We've got the IKS Korinar. It has a tech, 2 weapons, and a crew. Otherwise, it's your run-of-the-mill Burrell. It is 22 points, so that's the olding pricing system. So you are paying quite a bit for, well, a Burrell, a named Burrell. And I will say it is not the best named Burrell out there. And with a few tweaks to the words, its ability could have actually been really amazing. So it's a 4-1-3-3. That's your Burrell. I do like that you get a tech slot on it. And that's a surprise tool that will help us later. So, while you are cloaked, if you initiate an attack at range 1 with your primary weapon, you gain +1 attack die for that attack. I think if it was just when you attack at range 1 while cloaked, you gain +1 attack die, this would be a lot better, and it would combo with some other cards in this set, again, a lot better. But it is tied to the primary weapon. Now, it's by all means not a terrible named ability. It's just, compared to some of the more modern stuff we're dealing with, not all that great. However, modern cards being mentioned, it is much easier to remain cloaked. Sorry, I had to reset my camera there. So, let's see if I can... It's been so long since I've done a video for the channel. Let's see if I can remember my scaling system. So 0 is an actively detrimental card. 1 is an okay card. No, wait, sorry. 1 is a bad card. 2 is an okay card. 3 is a good card. 4 is a good card that I would personally play. 5 is a great card. 6 is a great card I would personally play. And 7 is an amazing card that I absolutely love. Spoiler alert, this pack comes with a 7. The ship ain't it. I would say this is a 4. A good card I would play. I need to adjust my lighting because my facial tracking is going a bit haywire here. Okay, onto the generic. It's a tech, weapon, crew, which is my favorite variant of the generic Burrell. Now, it says it's worth 20 points. It has actually been discounted to 13. There are so many problems this causes, but I won't get into it in this video because I feel like I've talked about that issue to death. 4-1-3-2. The 4 attack dice on a 13-point ship is really what does it. So the generic Burrell, especially one with a tech slot, that's a great ship I'd play. So that is a 6. So we've got a 4, and a 6. Next, we go on to Kern. In my personal opinion, Kern is a bad card. He's a 4-skill Klingon captain. You do not pay a faction penalty when you stick him on another ship. He got 3 points. But his named ability feels kinda useless. It allows him to take the Magtavor weapon. No. I've just lost my credibility in this community. Ah! Now, lets him take Magtavor Elite Talent Upgrade for the cost of 3 SP. So let's actually jump over to that card to judge him. Here we go. I do like this. I love the artwork on this card. And by artwork, I mean screenshot from an episode of, what, Next Generation? Deep Space Nine? Deep Space Nine, probably. Action, discard this card, and your captain card. And your... This is worse than I thought it was! Okay. Spoiler alert, it's bad. Okay. Okay. This is literally a suicide upgrade. I'm not joking here. It is a suicide upgrade. It is a ritual suicide upgrade. Or a ritual please murder me upgrade. I can't quite remember the details. Discard this card and your captain card to gain a number of attack dice for your first attack this round. So not even all attacks. Just the first one. Equal to 1/2 of that of your captain's skill number. Rounded down, by the way, rounded down with a maximum of 3. So this was before the rule of 3, judging by the fact that it says to a max of +3. So that would mean even in the age, the bountiful age of prior to rule of 3, this card really sucked. Place an auxiliary power token beside your ship. You cannot perform any free actions this round. This upgrade may only be purchased for a Klingon captain assigned to a Klingon ship. It's 5 SP, so you get this for the low price of 3 SP with Kern, but your captain doesn't really have a named ability if you do that. And sure, you could put Kern on another ship, but you can't take Magtavor with you, because it has to be on a Klingon captain on a Klingon ship. So, I would say, these are great for, like, role-playing purposes on the table, not for competitive nature, and maybe not even for casual, like base casual. But if you're having, like, a fun, like, thematic game, you can pair these together, and I think that'll work fine. Oh boy, but, otherwise, I have to say Kern is a bad card, so he's a 1, and Magtavor is possibly the second 0 ranking I have ever given out. It is actually a detrimental card. Don't take it unless you're just having a fun old time. Okay, so we've got ourselves a 4, a 6, a 1, and a 0. Got a generic Klingon captain here. He's got a rockin' goatee, pretty good facial ridges, definitely DS9. That's cool. That's a good card, so that's a 3. And I might play him. I don't know. Depends on whether he's easy to grab. Okay, I'm going to save the best for last. So let's move on to Ambush Attack. Ambush Attack is the card I wanted to synergize with this ship, but doesn't synergize with this ship. Because the ship's named ability is for its primary weapon only. So Ambush Attack is kind of a worse version of the classic Federation torpedoes, but at the same time, a little better. So I guess it's, if you're playing like like Wave 1 and 2 era ships, this card wouldn't be OP for that kind of game. So, why is that? Well, you don't need to use your target lock to fire this. It is simply a discard, which is not great. It's a 5-point discard. It's range 1 to 2, which in my opinion makes it better than the classic torpedoes because you can hit them at short range. If your ship is cloaked, gain +1 attack die for this attack. If your ship is not in the target ship's forward or rear firing arcs, you may convert all your battle station results to hit results. No ship may be equipped with more than one of these. So yeah, it's got some pros, it's got some cons. I would say if you've got a smaller collection and you don't have most of the newer stuff, this is an okay card. Because you're looking at about 6 attack dice, even in the modern era. Because in the modern era, your Klingon ships are going to be cloaked pretty much the whole time. So this is 6 dice attack, which is pretty nice. But the thing is, Barrels start with 4. You close into 1, you're already attacking with 5. And if you're using this guy, you're already shooting 6 at range 1. So it's an okay card. It's a 2. So we've got a 4, a 6, a 1, a 0, a 3, and a 2. On to the last 2 cards. We've got Klingon Stealth Team. I love these sort of team cards. Now, what I like about this is it's a gank card, and it's a gank card that does multiple things, and it does not require the enemy ship's shields to be offline. All it requires is that the enemy ship isn't cloaked. So this is great for hitting Borg, for hitting Federation. It is 5 points. It is a discard. Not great, but then again, you only really need to use a gank card once. And making a build focused around just ganking nonstop, not always the most tactically sound maneuver. Klingon Stealth Team. Action. Discard this card to target a ship at range 2 to 3 that is not cloaked. Disable 1 tech or weapon upgrade of your choice on the target ship, and then discard 1 crew upgrade of your choice on that ship if possible. So you get to choose both of those. This actually might be fun to initiate on a Borg sphere that has feedback pulse. So you disable the feedback pulse, and then you hit them with your with either the Korinar's base attack, or that fancy ambush attack. Unfortunately, it is locked to Klingon only, and it is ship unique. But is it good or not? I would say this is actually one of the better gank cards I've seen. It is 5 points, but it does the job of about 2 gank cards, so that's pretty fair. This is a good card that I would run. So that makes it a 4. Okay. On to the final card in our selection, and I am excited for this one. Klingon Cloaked Minds. Just a smidgen bit worse than Romulan Cloaked Minds, but still just as devastating once they are on the board. And if y'all saw me in the last Boosters tournament, I was running 7 Cloaked Minds. I like me Cloaked Minds. During the planning phase, you may discard this card to place a minefield token within range 1 of your ship, in any direction, but not within range 3 of an enemy ship. So that's the drawback. Romulans can deploy at range 2, but cannot be within range 2. Klingons have to deploy within range 1, so much limited deployment radius. And it can't be within range 3. So they really have to do this like before the battle really kicks off, or on their side of the game board. And that kind of is thematic because when Klingons use mines, they don't use it during a battle. They send out mines long before the battle or even the war starts. That's kind of their thing. Okay. If an enemy ship passes within range 1 of the token, roll 3 attack dice. -1 if the target ship immediately performs a scan action. Any hits or crits damage the target ship as normal. The affected ship does not roll any defense dice. Now, a few notes about Cloaked Minds. They have a radius of 1, and if that radius overlaps with another Cloaked Minds radius of the same team, like the same player, those two minefields are considered one minefield for the sake of the rules. Or at least for that specific ship. So if you deploy your minefields properly, and you space them out far enough, and a single ship flies through 2 minefields, it can trigger twice. But if your minefields are a little too close, they will trigger only once. Now, minefields trigger upon entry, and they trigger if you stay in them. And I believe they also trigger when you leave. The exception to that is Verteram Pulse Trap. Someone might have to check me on the if you leave part. I remember I always play a little too nice when I play mines. Anyway, this is what Brels do. They've got the standard maneuvers. They've got greens here. They've got some basic greens. They've got one red move, which is a come about, and that's a really good move. Come abouts are great. And because it is the sort of standard dial, this is what most ships use, it means that it can pursue and fly in formation with most ships. Gotta watch out for those white turns. They're really good. So, starting from the top, we have the Korinar, a 4. Good ship outplay. We've got the generic Baral, which is a great ship outplay. We've got Kern, who is a bad card, but I might still play him. So he's a 1. This was a 6. Then we've got a 0. Maruk Tovor. It is a suicide card for your captain. It kills your captain and pretty much ruins any chance of getting actions that round. And gives you auxiliary power tokens. And if you use them with Kern, you're going to get +2 attack dice for 1 attack. It is really terrible. Then you've got the generic captain. Good card, outplay him. I mean, he's he's a good card. Generic captains are good. I like them. I feel like they should give them out more. And I'm glad that the Alliance Part 2 actually came with some generic captain cards. We got ambush attack. It is a 2. It's an okay card. It's more balanced around the older attack wing. If you have it, you can use it. It's probably not the most competitive thing in this pack. We've got Klingon Stealth Team. I think I listed them as a good card that I would play. So that would be a 4. And finally, Cloaked Minds. These are a 7. Yes, they are not the best set of Cloaked Minds, but all Cloaked Minds are good Cloaked Minds. Because they're Cloaked Minds. And for those who don't actually know why Cloaked Minds are good, they're basically like a turret that you deploy on the board, and they just attack all your enemies around them. So they're really good like that. They just, essentially, like they're more effective than like a Romulan scout ship. And they're probably on par with like a Raptor, a Klingon Raptor. So you throw enough of those on the board, and they're fighting the game for you. It also helps control your enemies, because they typically will avoid the Cloaked Minds. Meaning you can just kind of guide them around the board. Now this doesn't always work. No strategy works all the time, but it's still pretty good. On to the cardboard. We've got ourselves our 90 forward, 90 rear. We've got R2 for those who collect those and want to have a second alphabet collection. I have the first alphabet completely, I think. Now it comes with 2 shields and your dial. You can clearly see the Burrell, by the way. This is an older dial, so it does show the ship clearly. It's not too dark to see. It does have the 3rd shield. Good. Has a disabled token. It has some reminder tokens for your terrible Matuk 4 card. Critical hit token. No one ever uses these. That's not true. Some people do. I actually use them sort of like mission tokens, or, well, the main thing I use critical hit tokens for is as a generic reminder token. So if I have an ability that lasts for a single round, I'll throw that down on the board and then maybe put another one on the card, and that's just sort of a mental reminder to keep in mind that ability. It comes with a set of Cloaked Minds. This is actually good. I forgot it came with this. But the catch is, this is actually tinier than the original Minefield token. And it's also smaller than the newer ones. So that led to a rule being stated that whenever you use a minefield, you can use any minefield you want. They're all interchangeable. But this is technically the worst minefield that the game has, this smaller one. But I do like it anyway. I already mentioned the disabled token. You get an evade and a cloak. Of course, the cloak has red. You get your generic captain and your Kern with skill 4, skill 1, and dark on the other side for 2 players, so people can have the same ship and fight against each other. Now, this I don't believe is a booster. This I believe is a prize ship. And the general rule I've heard for prize ships is that prize ships should be fun little ships, but nothing you actually need to really be good at the game. And this is an example of that. There's no card in here that you can't get retail that you don't need. The only card in here, basically the only 2 cards in this whole set you would need are the Burrell, like the generic Burrell, and the Cloaked Minds. And you can get Cloaked Minds retail. You can get plenty of generic Burrells retail. Everything else is fluff, and everything else has pros and cons. None of them are sort of like must-haves. So it is really a good example of a prize ship. And anyway, I think that's it for this episode of Starsmadas Shelf. Final opinion on this ship? To me, it is a personal must-have because it has Cloaked Minds. I also like that it has Kern, because I like Kern. Kern's pretty cool. But otherwise, it's definitely a skippable ship, especially with some cards being, really, really terrible. But I think I'm going to end the video there. Thank you all for watching, and thank you for surviving through my incredibly long hiatus. Bye! Oh, I need to turn off the camera.